In this presentation, we are going to get through an overview of innovations on lenticle extraction and rotation. This is our clinic in the Czech Republic, Central Europe, where we perform lenticle extractions and rotations. And we also have available 3 out of those 4 lasers which are currently on the market and which are capable to perform lenticle extraction. We have the latest VisuMax 800 laser. We also have Zimmer Z8 laser, Atos from Schwind, and there is one more new platform, Elita from J&J, which I do not have my own personal experience yet. This is the list of innovations I would like to get through briefly. We definitely have much faster lasers. You can perform lenticle extraction within less than 10 seconds, which is great for patients, for safety. Cyclotorsion compensation is a new modality which is going to add precision to astigmatism correction. Automatic centration makes it more convenient for the surgeons, and again it adds precision. You can also have a separate entry to both planes, lower and upper interface, and I would like to mention an innovation in lenticle rotation, which we actually did perform the first clinical cases at our clinic. And a very interesting topic which will be mentioned or was mentioned by Supi Taneri is the use of allogenic lenticles for tissue-added surgery, mainly for keratoconus surgery, but also for refractive surgery. And I truly believe this has a great future. What is in the pipeline? What can we see in the clinical practice hopefully quite soon? That's number one, hyperopic lenticle extraction. The clinical study was finished several years ago. We actually did perform at our clinics over 100 of these procedures, most in the world, and I'm really looking forward to that. The clinical study of presbyopic lenticle extraction has been already started in Europe, and we did perform the world first clinical case for this study. And I also have my own experience with the robotic femtomatrix laser technology, which is currently used only for cataract surgery, but theoretically it can also perform lenticle extraction in less than 5 seconds, and there are some plans to really make use of this technology for refractive surgery. What is the principle of hyperopic lenticle extraction surgery? At first we create an optical zone in the mid-corneal stroma, which has a shape of a little hill, and then we create a transition zone at the periphery, and there is a small side cut which is vertical, and then we cover that with a cup cut of 8.8 millimeter diameter, which has a clearance at the periphery, and the typical cap thickness is 120 microns, with the thinnest part of the lenticle right in the middle, which is about 24 microns at its thinnest. So it's a very delicate lenticle, very delicate piece of tissue, and we use 1 or 2 2mm small incisions. I actually used 1 for most of my cases to extract the lenticle out of the cornea through that incision. Let's have a look at several pictures of hyperopic lenticle extraction. You definitely have a bigger optical zone than usual. You see the lower and upper planes here, and then we open the 2mm incision. So after we dissect both planes, we extract the lenticle through this small incision, and it's actually a straightforward procedure. The laser dissection takes a little longer, but it's a very short procedure performed by the recent 800 VisuMax laser, and it's quite straightforward and a very nice surgery. Let's have a look at the video on hyperopic lenticle extraction. So this is the docking part. The patient is fixating the aiming beam in the middle, and we come to touch the eye, the cornea of the patient, and the lower cut is being performed from the periphery towards the center. the patient fixating the light, then the side cut continues, and after that we start from the center outwards with the uppercut to create the cap, and it has a clearance, and then there is an incision, and that's it. So now we can finish the docking of the patient and start the manual part of the surgery by opening this small incision and dissecting the upper and lower planes with spatula or with a proprietary tool for lenticle extraction. I like to use just a simple spatula, and as soon as we have dissected both planes, we grasp this bigger hyperopic lenticle and extract it from the eye by the forceps. I just, for the purpose of this video, for education, put this lenticle on a piece of plastic and stained it by trypan blue to just showcase this large 8mm diameter hyperopic lenticle, which was just freshly extracted, removed from the eye. The inclusion criteria were hyperopia up to 6 diopters and astigmatism up to 5 diopters of cylinders with the maximum hyperopic correction 7 diopters, so really high hyperopia, with the maximum post-op K readings 51, and good seeing eyes with corrected distance visual acuity 0.8 or better, and obviously with no previous corneal refractive or any corneal surgery. So what are the results? Let's have a look at 1-year results of visual acuities. So on the chart on the left, we see post-op uncorrected distance visual acuities in blue and pre-op corrected distance visual acuities in red, and you see the efficacy is pretty high, which we even didn't expect with hyperopic surgery. At the chart B in the middle, you see that uncorrected distance visual acuity is the same or better than corrected distance visual acuity in 78% of eyes, with uncorrected distance visual acuity within one line of corrected distance visual acuity 86%. So I think that's a very nice outcome. And regarding the safety at the chart C, 2 or more lines lost, just 0. So I think we can conclude that the first 1-year results are very nice. What about the refractive outcomes, which are also another challenge in hyperopia corneal surgery? You see a nice scattergram, and in the middle we see the results of 83 eyes with 1-year follow-up with plus minus half diopter 53% of eyes and plus minus 1 76% of eyes. Given these were the first hyperopic lenticle extraction surgeries, I think these results are very nice, and the chart F on the right shows clearly a stable refractive outcome. What about the astigmatism, the cylinder component? On the chart G on the left, up to 0.5 diopter, 95% of eyes, and up to 1 diopter of cylinders, 99% of eyes. I think that's also very nice. Scattergram in the middle, and you also see that 75 astigmatic eyes were within plus minus 15 degrees, so I think that's a very nice also chart documenting the error of angle of correction of astigmatism. Another recent clinical investigation has been started on presbyopic lenticle extraction, which is a hot topic, and the clinical study was already started bite-sized in Europe, and the world first surgery was performed at our clinic. We have now 6 international sites, and already 109 patients were treated, and we are aiming at 1-year follow-up. Let's have a look at the basic principle of presbyopic lenticle extraction, and the laser induces spherical aberration, which in combination with micromonovision is going to enhance the depth of field, and I think this bilateral approach, which was already proved to be clinically working well in LASIK surgery, provides a blended zone which should significantly enlarge the depth of focus of the people after a presbyopic lenticle extraction. One of the very interesting modifications of lenticle surgery is actually lenticle rotation, which is intended and designed for high astigmatism correction. This concept was theoretically invented and in vitro verified by Jasper Hjortal in Denmark and published, and it's intended for regular astigmatism over 5 diopters of cylinder, and the lenticle is created with half of the subjective cylinder, and then this lenticle is rotated 90 degrees and left in the pocket. No tissue is therefore removed, which is beneficial for corneal biomechanical stability. We performed the first clinical cases and published them, and recently we did some modifications on this very interesting method. What is associated with lenticle rotation is myopic shift. If you, for instance, have a purely +5 diopters hyperopic astigmatism and you rotate this lenticle 90 degrees, you would expect this patient in optimal scenario to end up with +2.5 diopters of pure hyperopia with no astigmatism. Actually, in reality, these patients often end up very close to zero. So we also reduce their hyperopic component, and that's due to the myopic shift, which we did not understand at the beginning. A little later, we understood that by rotating this lenticle inside of the corneal pocket, the lenticle shrinks a little bit, and there is a centripetal tissue redistribution with more tissue at the center of the cornea, which is then responsible for more steepening of the center cornea and therefore for myopic shift. And another problem which is associated with lenticle rotation is that we quite often do induce some higher order aberration because we are not able to perfectly spread the lenticle inside of that pocket. So we need to refine the surgery to minimize or get rid of this unwanted phenomenon. To reduce this unwanted myopic shift and higher order aberrations, we create the lenticle as thick as possible with the laser. So we set it like for -8 diopters, because if we rotate this spherical component, there is no change in refraction. And then after we create the radial mark, we remove the whole lenticle out of the corneal pocket and we inject with a super thin needle ring solution into this stromal lenticle, and then we insert this lenticle back and rotate it within the corneal pocket. And by rotating this thicker swollen lenticle, we achieve a better tissue redistribution, more flat lenticle, which reduces the myopic shift and higher order aberrations. Then I grasp the lenticle and take it out of the corneal pocket, spread it, and inject the ringer solution by a super thin needle into this on purpose thicker lenticle, and then I insert this lenticle back into the corneal pocket, spread it and rotate it 90 degrees to achieve the astigmatism compensation. I try to spread the lenticle as thoroughly as possible towards the edges of the outer edges of the corneal pocket, and then that is the conclusion of the surgery, and we have achieved better outcomes with lower myopic shift and less higher order aberrations. What are we going to miss in the near future? Well, topo-guided and wavefront-guided procedures are far away. It's going to be extremely technically challenging if it happens in the future. Non-contact procedure would be something which I would personally really welcome, because docking is always a risky part of the procedure, and I think every surgeon would warmly welcome a no-click-fee procedure, which eventually should also happen sooner or later. Here are the 3 lasers which we have at our disposal at our clinics, and I feel fortunate to be able to use on a daily basis all 3 technically great lasers. And yeah, it's a nice procedure, and we expect to have further technical improvements in the future. And thank you very much for joining us and for your attention.
Brilliant idea to hydrate the stromal lenticule. Have you seen a reduction in higher order aberrations already?
Yes, it seems like this method really reduces higher order aberrations and the myopic shift as well. We only have 2 eyes at the moment, and in one eye there was actually no myopic shift whatsoever. In the other, there was a little bit, and there were still some higher order aberration on the other eye. So it looks like one eye went really perfect, the other eye was a little bit suboptimal. So we still need to develop this further. And I think we see 2 ways of rotating the lenticle. It's like your way, you do it under the flap, you open the flap, rotate it, and you spread the lenticle as perfect as possible. I like that, but at the price of cutting the full flap. And our way, where we try somehow to manipulate this lenticle inside of the pocket. And I think time will tell which way has better clinical results.
Yes, I think the further enhancement is also something that we have to figure out, how to further enhance after rotating and reducing the astigmatism.
Correct.
But brilliant idea.
Correct. That's actually what we tell to each patient, that very likely later on a topo-guided PRK will be needed.
Yeah. I think it's a very wonderful way to treat astigmatism. I think the most crucial things to set is to center properly the lenticle. How do you mark the lenticle inside the pocket?
We have a very simple way. We separate both planes, and then we stain the forceps and touch the lenticle, creating a radial mark on the lenticle. And then once again, staining the forceps, we stain the cap. So we have 2 radial marks above each other. And then when you rotate the lenticle, you get this 90-degree mark, which should give us an information about the proper angle of rotation.
Yes, because you know in the market there is a femto laser that can mark the cornea in order to properly put the toric IOL. Maybe it could be interesting to study a mark made by the femto itself on the lenticle and on the cornea in order to try to rotate more exactly that you can, the lenticle may improve the result.
Yep, very nice idea. And I'm quite sure we will see more improvements over the time from you and from our colleagues. Thank you for the discussion. And let's go ahead with Emilio's presentation.